Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Welcome back to Houselights, our director discussion show here on the Nerd Party Network. This week, we're finishing the house of animation director Don Bluth with his 2000 picture Titan AE. I'm Darren Moser, also known as Titan Research Scientist number 5, and I'm joined again by my friends Captain John, not an alien Mills, and from the Dredge Energy Engineer Union, Tristan Reverse the Polarity Riddell. Wow. Now, part of this podcast will be broadcast in 2 dimensions, projected onto the 3rd dimensional recording. And we're going to talk about this last hurrah here in Titan AE, the last animated feature film of Don Bluth. To date. I mean, okay, guys. Yeah, we could say to date, but I mean...
He's not dead yet, right?
There's still time.
I'm not putting the nail in the coffin. I'm just saying, It's like, it's been 24 years, so we're not on a good streak.
It's been a minute.
Coming back. Yeah. But this movie I was looking forward to talking about. I remember seeing this in theaters. I remember being excited by the trailer. I don't think there were a lot of people in the theater with me in June 2000.
I think that was
Shocker.
a common theme in most theaters.
Yeah. But no, I remember enjoying this overall. And I mean, we'll get into the story and the technical aspects and things like that. But this was both of you first time visiting Planet Bob. So we haven't done this in a little while. So Tristan, what did you know about this movie? Did you know what AE stood for? Were you looking forward to this as we were working through the House of Bluth? Like, tell me your tale.
Yeah, I was looking forward to this because, as you guys know, and as you know, like I'm a big sci-fi fan, just like you guys are, and I was interested to see this type of animation in the year 2000. And boy, was this movie the year 2000. I did not know what AE stood for, but I could guess. My main memory of this movie is seeing the trailer, and I remember seeing it come out in 99 when I was a wee lad, a teenager. And I remember seeing the Earth explode and commenting to my dad saying like, oh, that kind of hurt. Like it was weird, like seeing the Earth explode. It was genuinely weird seeing that. I was like, oh, that sucks. Oh, like we didn't just just leave. Yeah. Like I live there. Right. Like that's my home. Like, not only did we not just leave or did we kill the planet, it's like, nope, it's gone. Like, it can't even recover from the ozone damage. Nothing that it's gone. But I remember like there was a lot of celebrity voices in this movie. And this was kind of around, I mean, it's been going on for a while, but this was a big turning point where this was the point of no return of non-celebrity voices for animated films. I think
where the majority of the cast are not necessarily names to get you in the seat.
Right. And I could be completely wrong. I'm saying from my own perspective. And that's really all that I knew about it. Like I remembered the Bob joke, so I must have caught it on TV or something, because it didn't, I mean, what a weird note to end on. But like I must have caught it on TV or something like that, or like seen bits and pieces. But this was my first time seeing it from start to finish.
All right. John, same question. What did you know about this? Did you remember seeing a poster for it in 2000 and you're like, it's not Batman, so I'm going to pass? So.
No, in the year, you can't say it unless you say it the way they did on Conan O'Brien. In the year 2000. I remember seeing the trailer because it was by contract put on the front of The Phantom Menace. And so it was Fight Club, Anna and the King, and this. And I remember of the 3, Fight Club was the only one where I was like, oh, that looks kind of cool. And Anna and the King, I was like, yeah, I'd seen The King and I, that's fine. This one, my reaction was, oh, that looks neat. And I just never really got around to it, sort of thing. It was, I think it was pretty much out of theaters faster than I could get to it.
Yeah, I don't think this stuck around very long.
Yeah, and it was it was a different time for me in 2000, but I was working I think 2 jobs at the time. And so, free time was sparse at best. And so, yeah, I never got around to it, and it's just one of those ones where it's always been sort of floating in the back of my brain as, oh, that's kind of interesting. And I knew it was a space thing, and I pieced together the AE part because the website back then was like afterearth.com. I was like, oh, that must be what AE is. Okay. And I didn't remember the celebrity voices until I turned this on, and I was like, oh, that's right. Matt Damon did this. This is back when Matt Damon was still affordable celebrity Matt Damon and not global superstar Matt Damon. Like, he was still on the ascent.
Preborn.
As opposed to
preborn. I was just about to say preborn. Yeah.
Yeah. That sort of thing. But I was delightfully surprised to hear a voice like Nathan Lane coming. I was like, oh, that's Nathan Lane and Bill Pullman. But the real surprise for me was hearing Tone Loc, because as soon as Tone Loc speaks, you're like, oh, it's Tone Loc. And I was like, oh, that's cute. So, but yeah, all I knew was it was animated. It was from Don Bluth, and I saw the trailer way back when in 1999.
Awesome. Yeah. So this movie, again, I have to give it to Don Bluth for pushing the animation style. Like, I think the biggest thing about this movie is the use of the mesh of CG backgrounds with 2D animation in the front. Some shots really effectively. Some shots, it feels like you're kind of like, these are penciled in animatics over the CG, and then we'll put in the CG later. It's like, oh, no, that's the actual shot. But, from the ships to the dredge, the main villain are all CG. And, in an age now where we have, I don't know, it always makes you think of like The Simpsons, or a lot of traditional animation nowadays have very seamless CG for like cars or boxy objects that have to rotate, where they will make it look 2D, but it is faceted like a 3D object.
Futurama did it around this time very well.
Yes, you're right. But stuck more to that 2D look, like the paint palette. Whereas this, like, you're looking at the background of the ship inside, and you're like, it feels like those click video games, where everything would be a static image, and you'd click on the door, and then it would, like, you'd move to the other room. It really felt like that level of. I mean, it's 2000. I'm not complaining. I'm like, that's just what it was. But yeah, what did you guys think of that look? Did it jive? Did it pull you out of it? Or was it like, that's a really cool way to tell a space story?
I mean, I thought it's bold for its time. It's very obviously for its time. They went for the brass ring, and I don't know if it's a mix of it just wasn't ready for this scale, and or the team wasn't ready for this tool in some ways. And I say that specifically because there was better computer animation out there at the time. I think that the scale gets away from the team, because this is a team very obviously who's blending the two, but it's a team that comes from a much more hand-drawn tradition. And so they're sort of throwing a very big challenge for themselves. It feels, in a sense, that it's very much like something where it would have benefited from some sort of different collaborative approach or something like that, because it feels too much at certain points, or looks too much, I should say. I can't feel anything, but like, it looks too much like that one team did the CG and one team did the drawing, and they were from two different schools. And it's like, if you're going to do this, everything should be as consistent as possible. And that I think is its biggest tripping point.
That's a really, really solid point. You know what? I didn't even really think about that on a conscious level, but subconsciously, that's exactly how I was feeling. It felt like two different people were attacking the same scene. And that's hard. It's really rough because, I was reading up on some of the behind the scenes stuff, and apparently him and his co-director had to get this done from scratch in 19 months. How do you pull that off? I think bravo for even making this a coherent storyline and not a complete mess of a movie. Now, granted, I mean, nobody went and saw it, and
Yeah.
the head of Fox got fired because of this movie. But regardless, I mean, they were 30 million in the hole. They fired the director, and they started from scratch, got it done in 19 months. I mean, and got a serviceable product. I mean, so I think whatever box office failure is there, I don't think you can lay this on Bluth's feet personally. I could be wrong, but I feel like that gives. I mean, I feel like he's kind of a victim of circumstance, but still really pushed the envelope.
There's one part I'm going to push back on. That is that, and push back lightly. Is yes, I see what you're saying with Bluth being a victim of circumstance, but I think that through this entire house of Bluth, we've seen somebody who can be a little bit intransigent with the brass, as it were. And I'm not saying I'm not saying anything against Bluth here. I'm not saying that this is the case at all, but I think it's entirely possible that there wasn't clear communication between the people who were funding the thing and Bluth in terms of who, like, the best way I can say it is it's what I'm hearing, I process in my brain as this sounds like expectations were not the same on both sides of that conversation. And that probably leads to some communication difficulties. Now, again, to your point, getting this turned around in the time that it was, absolutely. But that also, I mean, it's really difficult because we're not there in the room. And the tiny little thing that really needs to be tacked onto that is really going for the brass ring. It's the first movie to do end-to-end digital screening. And it's like, that's a huge technological leap right there. And it's like, to me, maybe the problem is actually all on the Fox side because nobody clearly communicated, this is a loss leader, guys. This is us being innovators.
Developing the technology for the next set of animated films.
Right.
That are going to be this new style, this new workflow. I think they even, for the first screening, they streamed it from their server. Like, it never touched film. Which again, and this is right around.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, it's amazing. Like that's a huge deal in the year 2000. It's so absolutely phenomenal that is a thing that happened, and this was the movie that did it. And what a perfect film to do it with all of the, like with it being animation where you don't actually have to physically shoot anything, and also so much computer animation integrated with 2D illustration. This was the perfect film for a test case.
And we're just 2 years out from Attack of the Clones, which was the first like live action to completely be digital in the pipeline. And that was doing the exact same thing, but on the on the real visuals side of the thing. So yeah, I'd say these two movies are siblings in that regard, in that moment of film history of what was being accomplished. And I think, on the sliding scale of shots on the quality, like, so there's definitely some of the shots inside the ships where they're running around anytime the camera's moving a ton, you really feel it. But some of the exteriors, my God, are gorgeous. Like the ice, nebula, I call it the Badlands. It looks like the Badlands guys from Deep Space Nine. It looks exactly like the Badlands. But, where they're flying through with the Wake Angels and just a lot of the space exterior shot, the laser chainsaw, guys. As a kid in 2000, I wanted me a laser chainsaw that could cut a ship in half. Probably not OSHA approved, but I love that.
There was a lot of really cool moments where you could tell that even though they were utilizing CG technology, it still forced the illustrators to go a little bit further and kind of step up their game when it came to camera movement.
Yes.
Where, I mean, when you look at Japanese animation, by this time, they were already utilizing really cool camera movements and, like 360 shots and just kind of like moving all around and like really frenetic things like that. And American animation really had to catch up. They've always kind of been like a decade behind when it comes to camera movement, but this movie didn't feel that way. And like when, I think one shot comes to mind, this is just one that pops in my brain, is we're in the cockpit with Bill Pullman and the camera rotates around him about 180 degrees, and he moves, like, as he's turning to face towards the console, the camera spins with him. And so the CG cockpit spins and the 2D illustrated Bill Pullman spins as the camera moves. And, that had to be done in unison, and it looked very, very cool. And then there was other times when, like they were at the space diner, and some backgrounds are CG and the people were illustrated, and it looked like it was just slapped on. And then you'd have the ticker tape, like a alien numbers going by. And I think there's a few moments when I think they rendered the CG at a frame rate other than the illustration. So it looked like it was 30 frames and the illustration was 24 frames. And so it looked more like video mixed with film.
Yes.
And it just kind of played tricks on your eyes.
And a lot of that could be just, I think I'm not saying I give that a pass. I'm saying I understand that, especially because of the time crunch. I'm sure there were shots where they're like, okay, these dozen shots we're going to get them done, but they are not going to be the polished quality of the flying through the space storm shot because we don't have the time.
If anything, it could just be growing pains. This is new and integration is new. And I think it's just one of those things where we don't have this nailed down.
I can say that I think that probably when it starts off having issues earlier in the production process, given what is the reported final cost, Fox's smartest move would have been to scrap the project. I'm not saying that I'm, I hate this movie so much. I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying like listening to all of this, the truly smart executive move, like the head of Fox or whoever got fired for it, kind of deserves it because you have to make really terrible calls sometimes. And this definitely, the behind the scenes stuff comes across as somebody needed to sit in that chair and say, I know this is the unpopular decision, but we got to scrap this and maybe come back to it fresh, but we are not there yet and we can't get this done. Now, that costs them winning the Blue Ribbon Prize for being the first end-to-end digital. Yes, this loses them a couple of firsts and everything, but in the long enough run, you look at a project like this and it's like there are other movies that get scrapped early on in the pipeline. I'd be curious as to why Fox was so dedicated to making this thing, like making
Good
it.
Question.
Was this a statement project for somebody at Fox?
Well, and especially since after this, it closed Fox Animation. Then they kind of shifted to having Blue Sky make things for them. Yeah, again making kind of comparisons to Star Wars. Star Wars could shoulder the burden of the new technology push because it's Star Wars, and it was sitting on the backs of all the money it was making and the previous film was making and all of that. So like it can absorb that blow of it not being quite as big. This just like crumpled it like a house of cards. Like it could not to innovate in that space.
And also you have a shepherd like Lucas who is all about driving technology forward and knows how to utilize it and knows how to work it and knows when to innovate and when to fall back on traditional techniques. And the people at Fox and Bluth and everybody else, they're not Lucas, and so
Well, and Lucas, like, let's say in some reality where one of those prequels like completely bombed, Fox wasn't really on the hook for that. Lucas was funding it all himself. That was a zero risk game for Fox. And I think that winds up being a thing where I think they didn't realize exactly how much of a gamble it really was. What you're saying is absolutely right, Tristan. But at the same time, like if Lucas had failed, Fox lost nothing. They were like, oh, well, we just didn't get to distribute this thing. Whereas with this, it was their own money and resources that they poured into it. Now, I found it was interesting reading in the Wikipedia thing that Chris Meledandri, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, the guy has gone on to give the world the Minions and make tons of cash with that and basically become the driving force behind Universal's year-end reports to its shareholders. like he worked on this film. I'm like, wow, that's actually pretty cool. I'd love to sit down with him in an off the record conversation and be like, did you take any lessons from your experiences to sort of leverage?
So Titan AE, like, let's talk about the dark time,
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I haven't heard that name for a long time.
Yeah, right.
Look, we don't talk about Bob. We just don't talk about Bob. There's never going to be a character named Bob, any of that.
There you go.
But yeah, no. And again, just looking around this early 2000s era, again, this is all conjecture because IMDb didn't tell me the answer. But, you were asking about what chip is on 20th Century Fox Animation's shoulder to be who are they trying to beat? But I am kind of remembering that around this time, Disney wasn't as hot. Pixar was taking off like a shot, but Disney had kind of peaked through its renaissance and was, we're kind of hitting towards Chicken Little. Like 2001, we had Atlantis: The Lost Empire, which also used some CG effects for like the Ulysses sub and some of the vehicles. I think they matched the colors better, but so I don't know if this was another round of trying to get Disney in their sights again. And they're like, maybe we're going to be the new dominating animation powerhouse for the next decade. But I don't know.
That's a great thought, because DreamWorks is ascendant at this point, aren't they? But they weren't invulnerable.
Because 01 was Shrek, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So we're a year from Shrek. So DreamWorks isn't even a player yet.
Yeah. Yeah. But they had been founded, right? They'd been founded, but they hadn't really done anything of note. Or am I just getting my timeline mixed up here?
Well, there's DreamWorks and there's DreamWorks Animation because they were two separate. So I think DreamWorks as like actual motion pictures had already made a thing or two. Someone can pull that up. But moving past like the visuals, because I mean we can talk about the visuals for decades, but yeah. So with the animation, I just said I'm moving away from the animation. So with the story, it's a very it's a decent story. It's a story of there's the call to adventure. There's the lost father. We're 2 years later. We get Treasure Planet, which I think tells a much clearer story. Not the exact same one, but there's definitely very similar vibes to this movie. I would almost say Titan AE walked so Treasure Planet could run as far as prepping audience for this type of spacefaring adventure. But overall, it feels like a movie that kind of restarts. We've talked about this in other movies where honestly the whole beginning, it's like you're hooked. Something's going on. The wind's blowing. The dredger, like the first 5 minutes of this movie are so intense. And like you said, Tristan, I kind of felt that too. When the planet gets destroyed, my planet, your planet, our planet, I'm kind of like, oh, so we're not saving the planet. The planet is literally gone. And I felt a little something. And then it's like I've already kind of connected to the dad. I've connected to the, his lieutenant, alien. Oh, there's aliens that are interacting with us at this time. That's cool. And little Kale.
Yeah, that's what was cool is that I know this may sound obvious because it was in the year like 3100, whatever.
Right.
But to see aliens help humans out during the evacuation, that was really cool to see.
Yeah, the world building in the first 5 minutes of this is 10 out of 10. Like I am in it and to win it and I'm hooked. And then we jump like 15 years and the pace goes way down. Yeah, we take our foot completely off the gas and we got to learn this new character. I mean, it's the same character, but we got to learn, okay, what's the reality of a drifter group of humans and what's going on. And, we kind of get this protagonist who is really sour on everything. And again, that's the plot. I get it. But it kind of starts over after like 10 minutes. And now you have to like that energy is gone and they kind of get it back a little bit at the end. But it maybe I'm not saying I'm rewriting the movie, but like maybe have Cal be like older in the beginning and this whole thing takes the place over like 3 years. Or do you think, John, he needs the years of sourness to really like cement his, because at the end of the day, the question is, are humans going to rally?
I think the easiest cheat is, as compelling as that destroying the planet moment is at the start, is starting instead with flashes of it and having it be
like
Kale's
nightmares.
Yeah, Kale's dream, and he wakes up from it, or he's been daydreaming while he's been, hey kid, your laser chainsaw almost cut my head off, get your head out of the cloud, sort of thing. I mean, it is a cheat, but it's a worthwhile cheat because you get a little taste of that and you're like, ooh, what is that about? What's in his head?
What did he live through that set him like this? We don't fully see it in a cinematic explanation. That's not a bad idea.
And then you have you go through and you get other tastes of it, and then Kale finally has to tell what was her name? I'm sorry, I forget the female lead's name.
Akima.
He has to tell Akima the full story, and then you do the lap dissolve, and it's like, this is what happened. And you're like, oh my gosh.
I would almost take it as far as, what if every human who experienced that has like traumatic flashbacks every time they sleep, and they're all slightly different perspectives. So like Akima remembers, like, and so we get little pieces of that day. Like it's like they have to have a name for that day. Like it's a terrible day for humanity.
Well, that was one of those things that was a little confusing, was because Akima at one point said she was raised in a drifter colony. And I was like, so are they saying she's 14 years old? Or like, I think somebody didn't quite do the math, because she said at one point she grew up in a drifter colony.
Well, I guess I would just make the leap that there were probably human colonies already in the year 3000 and whatever. She just never was an Earther. But you're right. The terminology they used did imply like I never saw the Earth.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe that just speaks to the fact that like I know how the story goes and everything, but maybe they could have spent more time talking about her collecting the junk, because we get some lines about, and hats off to Drew Barrymore. I think she did a really good job with her voice characterization here. And maybe we could have spent more time with the whole collecting the junk, maybe even have a scene earlier where somebody wants to buy something off of Kale and he sells it to him. He's like, yeah, what do I care? It's from Earth, whatever.
Right.
Like give us a little taste of it.
But all the drifters are like, oh, you have, a Bo Bompton's rookie card. Like, that's amazing. Like, these don't exist anymore.
Or he's carrying something on him, and the first time she encounters him, she's like, what? You have that? And he's like, what? It's a piece of junk. What are you talking about? Basically just like space out these things and like seed it through the story a little bit more. But I think through the whole House of Bluth, we found that Bluth has had an issue with making a clearly linear build with everything. It's a more episodic approach to the storytelling.
Yeah, we're like, do you kind of feel like that, Tristan? Is this a collection of, here's the scenes of Laser Chainsaw, and here's the scenes of Intergalactic Space Bar, and here's the scenes of pirate ship flying? Or is Bluth getting better at the cohesive storyness of this?
I think it's a little bit better than that. I think it's better than Secret of Nim, where like Secret of Nim was very much like a collection of vignettes. This didn't feel too much like vignettes to me. Like it felt like more of a hero's journey and more like almost like a video game, where it's like, okay, we went to this place and got this thing. Now we got to go to this place and get this thing. And now we got to go to this place and pick up this person. And now we can go to this place and and do this thing. Which I'm not trying to be reductive or anything like that, but that's kind of how I felt. And I feel like this was the most linear of Bluth's work that we are discussing. Let me know if I'm wrong on that, but like this one, Secret of Nim kind of bounced all over the place. You have, maybe Land Before Time probably is more linear than this, because I feel like Bluth really enjoys the refugee experience if you look at the movies
There's
that
a
we're
sense. Yeah.
that we're, because I mean we haven't
Go
reviewed
through
all of his films.
cataclysmic event.
Oh, hold on.
Then what do we do?
Anastasia, even though we didn't discuss it. Yeah, that's okay. Fair. There
Yeah.
you go.
Fall
Right.
of the Russian monarchy. Yeah, it's just, you know, just a little event. You know.
Yeah, I really do feel like that he's drawn to that experience. He's drawn to that tale, an American tale.
Oh, I see what you
Mhm.
But yeah, so with that one, I feel like this. I feel like this is cohesive, and I feel like the only time that it feels like a collection of things is because this is such a 2000s movie. It feels like a collection
such
of
a 2000
music
movies.
videos. There's certain times when it feels like we go into music video territory. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm on TRL. It's just, yeah, it's that takes me out of it more than the bad CGI 2D integration. Is that all of a sudden we're in a music video?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I wouldn't go so far as saying it takes me out of it. I would say it roots it in 2000. Like it screams 2000 when those music video segments kick in.
To me, it makes it feel even older than that because it feels like a movie in 2000 trying to evoke the experience of seeing heavy metal from, I think that came out in 83. And it's like, now, while we don't have any nudity, profanity, or terrific Sammy Hagar music in this, we do have a sense of like, okay, we had a new scene and now here's a rock song that you all love. And it's like, it's weird. I think maybe that's why I feel like it's a little bit disconnected, is because when it did hit those moments, it felt like they were no longer.
Why is this a music moment? Like, what's going on?
Well, it felt like they were far less concerned with advancing the story with these scenes than saying, okay,
right.
This is where we're going to do this.
The story pauses during those scenes.
Even through the giant chase through the oddly shaped orbs.
Are you talking about the testicle field?
Testicle field is what I was talking about. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Testicle
yeah.
field.
The testicle field. Yeah.
Yes. The testicle field,
Hey,
which
at least Lucas had the sense to put them underwater instead of floating on top of the water.
You know what?
But
They still didn't look quite as much like testicles as these did. Really didn't.
I'm going to have to agree with John on this one.
Yeah. These really had a testicular feel. They really did. No,
These balls are making me testy.
We too had a story like that, Tristan. There was a ball and it bounced 5 feet high. Then it bounced 3 feet high. Then it bounced 10. Yeah, it is. I think it's the music video aspect of it is probably what's making me feel like they were just getting to a segment as opposed to, I mean, honestly, I think that this narrative structure bears a lot more in common with An American Tale than any of the previous ones, where it's like there is a linear-ish story going on here, but there's not really a somebody didn't sit down with a through line necessarily.
The music is, what is our character feeling? It's the rush of doing my job. It's the rush of flying a ship, or escaping the bad guys. Like, it's a very interesting film in the fact of just, these little musical vignettes that are interspersed. But even more so with the voice cast, Nathan Lane, I think he is one of the standouts in this.
What a wonderful performance,
chewing the scenery up. I love it. His character is so expressive. I loved Preed.
It felt like Nathan Lane being able to be Nathan Lane,
like a 10 of Nathan Lane-ness.
Yeah, for half a minute, I actually thought that he was being voiced by, I was like, oh, that's Nathan Lane. But then there was one point where he was having so much fun with it, he wound up sounding like the guy who does Master Shake from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. And because their vocal characterizations in those moments are very similar. But that, if anything, is me complimenting Mr. Lane, because that means he was really committed to bringing that character to life.
There was one voice, I really enjoyed the voice acting in this. I felt like Matt Damon did fine. I felt like I feel like Cale's character probably could have been played by a lot of different people. it's just one of those.
Yeah.
It's there's
Interchangeable is a word. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid. And also because it's the year 2000, the name kale doesn't evoke a horrible tasting salad that it does in 2024.
It's like, we're gonna name him Cal. Oh, we put an E in there. Okay, he's Kale now, but it's with a C, so it's okay. Yeah.
But the only voice that kind of took me out of it was Drew Barrymore, and
Really?
I'm a big Drew Barrymore fan. I really like Drew Barrymore, and I'm not just saying that. Like Donnie Darko, Santa Clarita Diet, big fan. But for some reason, her voice is so unique that all that I'm thinking about is that's Drew Barrymore.
I was not there with you. If anything, I thought that
I never saw Drew Barrymore when it was going through my mind.
I thought that it was. I thought that she actually. I'm not the world's biggest Drew Barrymore fan, but when she performs something well, like the reason I'm not the biggest fan is because when she does something well, I think she really absolutely masterclass nails it. And I think that when she doesn't, it completely takes me out of the experience, sort of thing. And with this, I actually thought she was one of the better vocal performances in here. I think that if anything, she outclassed Matt Damon.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So now
again, it's not a knock on her performance. I think she acted it very well. I think it's just the nature of her voice, at least for me.
I think she sounded very Scarlett Johansson-y in this one, which was interesting. It was sort of an interesting audio similarity to pick up on. It was a very,
it's kind of a tangent, but like I love Scarlett Johansson voice work. I think she needs to do more voice acting gigs.
Yeah, I don't disagree on that. Sure. Yeah.
Well, and I think also, I mean, Bill Pullman, he was also still in the show. Just he's the captain. He's kind of the father figure, but
double cross, then a triple cross.
Triple, double, triple cross. Yeah, it kind of saw that coming, but it was just, again, I wanted to spend more time with his actual dad. I was so hooked on that first 5 minutes of story, but that's not the story we're going to get.
I was surprised. I really thought that we were going to get to the Titan and Ron Perlman was going to be like frozen. Or
his dad's just dead. He's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah,
like we don't even get like a Jor-El kind of situation where he gets to interact with an AI version of himself. There's
the hologram, like a teeny message, but it was like a voicemail at best. It wasn't.
You're right. That's closer to the Jor-El than not.
But I get what you're saying. It wasn't like I have the answers. Like, because that's the thing. I guess maybe that's the core of the movie is. It wasn't like I'm looking for my father for answers, because the question was, is humanity worth sticking around? Which is kind of a terrible question. Like, so it, it wasn't even the question of like, why did you leave? Like he's kind of over his dad by the time we get to him.
Yeah, I think that the movie, if it's asking the question of whether humanity deserves to survive at the expense of another species, possibly every last one of them that exists so that it can power its world building engine, I think the movie lands firmly in the yes column. But yeah, I think that Kale's motivation is not solid. I don't know what to pin it on, right? Because
this almost feels like the type of story where it's like, oh, we made a bet, but we didn't tell you. And then later you find out that we made a bet and there's, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, it's that kind of a vibe of the betrayal that you're kind of like, okay, yeah.
That's, but the thing is, I think that what we're sort of like scratching at there is I never felt that the characters who did want to go find Titan sold it to Kale effectively. It never lands at the point where I have a moment with Kale where I feel like he suddenly really passionately wanted to do the same thing. It's more that he's a protagonist who doesn't do anything except go along for the ride.
And it could have been like, maybe my dad's there. There's some motivation, but no, there was like no talk of that at all. It was like pretty much a sure thing that his dad is dead. and gone the entire movie.
They wanted to make him a reluctant hero so bad.
He was so reluctant
that they missed the opportunity that making him gung-ho would have been just as cool.
Yeah.
Where like he meets Bill Pullman again. He's just like, oh wait, you may know where my dad is. Let's do this.
Right.
Like let's figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Darren, what did you think of the music on this one? Because they went through a lot of different people.
They did. A lot of people passed on this movie, and again, I liked the music. It had lots of little Star Trek vibes. It was an actiony animated movie. Honestly, I can't think of the music without thinking of the music video aspect of it. Like, that's so powerful. It overrides everything
We were like
else.
one music video away from Creed popping up in this.
But didn't they use Creed in the trailer? But then they didn't use it in the movie?
They might have.
It was in the year 2000. Of course they used Creed in the trailer, John. Get your head out of your ass.
Hey, listen here, mister. Just because you got Creed for the trailer money, you should maybe set aside some Creed for the movie money too, right? Like, I don't know that it would have made a difference in the box office.
We don't need Creed. We have Lit, Power Men 5000.
Exactly.
The Urge, Texas. I haven't heard of any of these people. No, I didn't recognize.
Hey.
You haven't heard of Lit or Power Man 5000? Come on.
You haven't heard of Luscious Jackson or Jamiroquai? Now, no, I'm being dead serious. Like, okay. Those are names at least.
I recognize their sound, but I don't recognize the name because I just wasn't in that scene. During this time, it was all DC Talk and Newsboys for me. Okay, I was
Darren was too busy getting laid in order to know what Jamiroquai was.
Man. We were firmly in the Christian bubble. I was in that sphere. Jeez.
Well, I knew what you mean.
Good one.
Well,
good one.
But the thing is, Graham Ravel comes in with the score part of it.
That's the first I've ever heard that pronounced.
I'm
taking
taking a
Ravel.
I'm taking a guess that it's
I heard
Graham
gravel, but yeah.
Yeah. That part of it I thought was okay? Question mark? Like the actual like score didn't really do anything for me at all. I didn't love the music that they chose from the bands, but the other music it's fine. I know he did. He's done stuff like Strange Days, which was pretty good.
I'm recognizing some of his stuff. Like we got Pitch Black.
He did
Red Planet.
Well, he's no stranger to the hey, we're making a killer music of the time period soundtrack, and you're just going to provide additional music because he worked on The Crow. So it's like, he knows how it works. Where it's like, oh, cool, you need 20 minutes of music from me, awesome, because the rest of it's just going to be stuff that's hip with the kids. I don't know. I mean, it's like, would this movie have sparked more with a better score? Would be a good question. Like, do you think that there was something that could have been done to give it more of an emotional punch?
What was? I think the bigger question is, what was it? Why did this movie not click with audiences? Was it the lack of marketing? Was it not word of mouth? And if it wasn't word of mouth, what was it about the story that didn't connect with people?
Okay, my vibe is, it's a PG movie. It's not adult enough for teens to care, and it's too like I would feel like I saw it because it's a space movie. So, and that interests me, but I feel like it would be a hard sell on like the teen crowd to like, they were trying. This is like, it's cool with a Z. You got to go see it. Like they're trying real hard to market it.
Movies to the extreme.
Oh, it's so that vibe. But
Disney's damage to how people perceived animation had been done by this point. And Shrek revives it a little bit, makes it okay to go see animated movies if you're beyond 4 years old again.
Right.
Or don't have a 4-year-old in your house. But releasing this animated movie against Mission Impossible 2, Big Mama's House. Listen, Martin Lawrence, big hit at that time. That's that's the type of comedy movie that people are going to want to go see. Gone in 60 Seconds, which is a Nick Cage actioner that everybody loves. And then you get, hipster Gen Xers like myself, and you release a reboot of Shaft. That was the one I was waiting in the movie theater for. I was like, I'm there.
Man,
and it's like,
speaking of Gen Xers, your Gen X ambassador, Jeanine Garofalo was in this movie.
Yeah, she was.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you didn't vote for her.
That's okay. It was also a script polished by Joss Whedon. So I'm losing some of my geek cred by not being over the moon for the script or its clever humor, like talking about naming the planet Bob.
Yeah, man. Yeah, now that I know that Joss Whedon was involved, that's hardcore Whedon-esque.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
seems
a
like
Whedon joke at the end there.
Mm-hmm.
What if he calls it Bob, guys? What if he calls the planet Bob? And it's literally the last thing that sticks in your brain when this movie ends.
It's not a good note
we
to
don't
go
stop
out on.
The musical credits because we already spent all the music in the movie. But I actually like the curtain call of like reminding you who all the characters were with their little bio profiles and.
Yes, the thing is, I don't know. Like, there's a part of me that wants to go back and rewatch it because I know that Ebert gave it 3.5 out of 4 stars, which
that's pretty high.
That's a pretty solid rating from Ebert,
especially
on that.
For him. Yeah,
yeah, and so there are some. Most people praised it for the visuals. They recognize what trailblazing was going on, but I just I look at this and I see the same issues that Bluth has struggled with through this entire, body of work that we've been looking at. And I my mind boggles at the fact that this ran away and had, like a nearly $100 million budget by the end of it. That's a lot of money. I know that we all love to sit there and make jokes about it. It's like, yeah, well, they spend $500 million making a movie now. Yeah, but $100 million is still a lot of money. That's still a lot of money. And just sinking all in on that. And then, again, we talk about release windows all the time. They should have been scared off. Big Mama's House and Mission Impossible 2 are like, Big Mama's House was a 20th Century Fox movie, right? And you got Mission Impossible 2. What scheduler doesn't say, I don't know, maybe we make this a Christmas release, guys, right? Like there's less competition.
Well, and I mean, summer or Christmas. I mean, this was June, but yeah, you want to get those kids who have time off and their parents have time off to go see this, in theaters. Yeah, I think at its core, and I think we're going to shift into, we'll shift into after we Lance Reddick it, but I was going to say at its core, there's no heart. Like I don't care about the struggle of these characters. And honestly, the flip-floppiness doesn't do any favors. Like it burns any credit that the captain, who was kind of a cool character, possible surrogate dad, had.
And what a weird turn at the end.
It's so weird. Maybe we can save them all. Oh,
like,
okay.
Maybe
you literally were shooting
humanity
at me like 2 seconds ago, trying to kill me.
And then of course he's going to die, right? Because the rules of cinema dictate that because he was a bad guy, even though he turned, he has to die now, and he dies, in a blaze of.
Again, that's why I liked Nathan Lane's character even better, because at least from the get-go, you could kind of tell this guy was slimy. Like I never fully trusted him, of all the weird space alien characters. So when he like turned evil, I'm like, oh yeah, that totally tracks like that. But then it's like double secret probation switch back and forth. I'm like, come on, what is going on here? All right. Well, this is the time of the episode where we talk about Lance Reddick. We love Lance Reddick. We love placing him in movies as a fun thought experiment. And again, this is nothing against the actor or voice actor or the character. We just want to see where we place Lance. So John, is he the Dredge Queen? Please tell me he's the Dredge Queen. No. Who is Lance in your lineup? There's not a ton of characters to pick from, actually. It's actually a fairly small cast.
I'm swapping out Pullman. I'm putting in Reddick as the captain.
As
Corso.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's mine as well. He would have been perfect for that role. Absolutely perfect. He's got the gravitas. He's got the voice to be that kind of fatherly figure, but then also he can be sinister and turn it on a dime.
Now, I agree. I think Corso, it's like you said, Tristan, fatherly figure. You can't see the turn coming. It has to be at the last hour or last minute, because otherwise you're like looking at this guy from the side. It's enough that he's not really. We needed some more scenes with like him telling him about his father. Like, man, we needed that scene, like right in the middle, to be the turn that gets Kale to be on board with this plan. But instead we just stuck with, if I don't like the way things are going, I'm like my dad, I'm out of here. And I'm like, okay, dude, geez, the teenage angst is radiating off of your character. But all right. So yeah, awesome. Well, we have Captain Joseph Corso across the board. Doesn't happen very often here on Houselights, but it's always cool when it does. Is our Lance Reddick pick. John, let's start with you, Gen Xer, as we keep saying.
Yes.
But yeah, so what did you rank this? Gives your final thoughts on Titan AE?
I'll be honest, it just doesn't gel. And while I recognize the trailblazing attitude and the risk that they took, and I'd be terrible on a company board because somebody would take a risk like this and we'd take a financial bath. And I would say, no, but do you understand what we just did? We can't punish people for taking risks. But then that's why I wouldn't be on the board, is because that's exactly what boards do, is punish people for taking risks. But all that said, I think that this is a 2, and it's a shame. I went into this and I said to myself, I really want to love this. I want this to be the movie where I go, I get it. I've had the Christmas Miracle. I get why Don Bluth is so revered. And no, this wasn't it, man. This was a 2.
I mean, we didn't give actual numbers, but yeah, for a budget of around $75 to $90 million, it made 36.8.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really
hurts.
bad. That's really bad.
And how much they marketed it? Easily,
Yeah.
they spent $100 million on this.
Oh yeah, easily. And 30 of it is a bath that they threw out. And oh my gosh, yeah.
Yep.
All right, Tristan. Again, both of you guys don't have that nostalgia factor at all with this movie. So, but yeah, final thoughts on Titan AE.
I think this one, this is probably the movie that I enjoyed the most besides Land Before Time. But Land Before Time I enjoyed mainly because of nostalgic factors, because it makes me think of my sister, because of all the merchandise that came out and everything like that. So I gave Land Before Time a 3, which for me means I liked it, but it has its issues. With this one, this is straight down the middle. Like, this is a mediocre film to me. This is 2.5. I do not think this is not a damning 2.5. It's just there. It's just a movie that's there. And that's unfortunate because they swung for the fences, but they missed. And, that's all I really have to say about that. I think it's a non-judgmental, down the middle 2.5.
Oh, our whole podcast is about judging these films, Tristan. Don't say it's not. It's literally why people tune in. This was a fun discussion because, again, you guys came into it fresh. I had a bit of nostalgia with it. I think I tried to temper your expectations a little last week as we were wrapping up. I'm like, okay, guys, like I'm not saying this one's going to blow you out of the water, but I enjoyed it. So yeah, no, I think the technical aspect, I really saw it this time. Like, I don't think I probably watched this once or twice after it came out in the intervening years. So it's been a while, but and man, the nostalgia of those music videos like hit me. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm, I don't even have a cell phone yet. We got dial-up internet. Like, I was right back in 2000 so hard in the middle of this. Like, that was strong. Honestly, it's bumping it up a whole star, the nostalgia. It really is, because while it has its issues, and we referenced a lot of other movies that kind of did this better in this era, it's not the Disney killer they wanted. It's not, anything like that. But I love it for what it is. I'm glad it existed. I'm glad. I mean, it built, Illumination and Blue Sky, like, all kind of came after this. Like, it was, unfortunately, as Don's focus throughout this whole house has been clinging to animation, like in a death grip. And in this one, maybe it would have been better as a fully CG picture. I doubt it. I honestly think if you tried to take these characters and in 2000 animation style animate them, I think it would look like so deep in the uncanny valley you would turn off your television. So I think the visuals worked well.
It's like Spirits Within, like the Final Fantasy one.
Yeah. Or right around here was Polar Express, I think, too, was not too far off this. But all that to say, I'm giving it a 3. And one of those stars is definitely a nostalgia star, and I'm okay with that. Like, and it takes me through. I went from 3 to 2 to 2 to 1 to 3. Like, I can't give this a 2. I enjoy it enough. I think I'll show it to my kids. I think they would enjoy just the alien design, the fun. I know my son would be bouncing off the walls when they're being chased by the ships. Anytime there's like anything actiony like that, he'd be like, "Oh my gosh," as he's going through the testicle field. But but yeah. So we have 3, 2, and a 2.5. I think that's very fair for this movie. It really is. But at the end of the day, it's been a really fun house of Don Bluth.
We're doing something fun next week.
Oh
yes.
Yes. Fun. We're switching it up. This was a bit of a rough house. I think we gave it a fair shake, but we're ready to return to.
I don't know if John is going to forgive you, Darren, because Darren, for listeners, this was Darren's idea to do House of Bluth, and I don't think John is going to forgive him.
And we all voted, and we said yes. Okay, so
I'm gonna. Well, hold on. I'm gonna bring up the bylaws. I'm going to bring up the bylaws here, and I reminded Tristan of the bylaws. I'll remind you of the bylaws this time, Darren, that anytime I dislike something in the bylaws, it must be blamed on you. Tristan could recommend something right now, and it goes terribly wrong. By the bylaws, I have to blame you.
These are the same bylaws that says I always have to go first when giving the ratings, unless I'm hosting.
Yeah, yes. Only John and I have copies of the bylaws.
The bylaws are hidden on a ring that's genetically coded to our hands, and they show up on our hands when we look at them.
But look, it's okay. You totally left the control room. It's totally fine. Not like we can't start the podcast without you. Save humanity. Nope. Good thing you didn't die in your, little space gondola in the last second end of the movie. Okay, we're done. We're done with Titan and Dawn. All right, but yeah, next week we are going to an American classic. It's the holiday seasons, guys. We want to watch some Christmas movies. We want to enjoy ourselves, have a fun talk around the campfire. So next week, we're going back to 1954 with White Christmas here on Houselights.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.